America's dirtiest secrets, the trash states. Look, we all know the environment's having a bit of a moment, right? Like a full-blown existential crisis kind of moment. But what if I told you there are places in this country where the environment isn't just having a moment, it's staging a full-blown Shakespearean tragedy? Welcome to the trash states of America. These are the states where going green means watching your lawn slowly turn a delightful shade of arsenic, because the local factory decided regulations were more like guidelines. Buckle up, kids. It's about to get dirty. First up, we're heading to the natural state, Arkansas, a place known for its stunning Ozark Mountains. Crystal clear. Oh, who are we kidding? This is a trash state expedition, remember? We're here for the environmental carnage. Air quality. Let's just say breathing here is like sucking on the exhaust pipe of a diesel truck. Except the truck's on fire, and you're also eating a lead paint chip. Remember those pristine rivers I mentioned? Yeah, those are full of agricultural runoff and industrial waste. Seriously, the fish are starting to wear tiny little gas masks. So, Arkansas, enjoy your industrial runoff and air you can see. You've earned your place as our first trash state. Next, we're moseying on down to Kentucky, a state famous for bourbon horses and a shocking disregard for the environment. You see, Kentucky's love affair with coal is about as healthy as a 3-pack-a-day habit. We're talking mountaintop removal mining, a practice so destructive it makes regular old strip mining look like a friendly game of environmental patty cake. They literally blow the tops off mountains to get to the coal, leaving behind a desolate, toxic wasteland that would make Mordor look like a nature preserve. Kentucky, you're a state with a rich history, beautiful scenery, and a knack for turning your natural resources into environmental disasters. So cheers to you, Kentucky. You've earned yourself a second-place ribbon in the Trash State Olympics. Hold on to your hats, folks, because we're about to delve into the wild, wacky world of Tennessee environmental policy, or rather the distinct lack thereof. This is a place where environmental regulations seem to be more of a suggestion than a rule. See, Tennessee is a lot like that friend who throws a party, trashes the place, and then just leaves. The streets and parks are often littered with trash, making it a common sight for residents and visitors alike. We're talking about a state where you can practically set your watch to the next chemical spill. Industrial areas are notorious for their frequent leaks and spills, contaminating water sources and endangering local wildlife. Where air quality monitors come with a free inhaler. The smog and poor air quality are so prevalent that it's almost a part of daily life for many Tennesseans, and where the only thing growing faster than the landfills are the waiting lists for environmental activists seeking therapy. The landfills are expanding at an alarming rate with no end in sight. Tennessee, you're a state with stunning natural beauty, a rich musical heritage, and landscapes that could take your breath away. From the rolling hills to the scenic rivers, the natural beauty is undeniable, and an environmental record that could make a coal baron blush. The damage from coal mining and industrial pollution is extensive, leaving scars on the land and in the communities. It's almost as if they've mistaken the volunteer state nickname as a challenge to volunteer to pollute as much as possible. Despite the efforts of volunteers who tirelessly work to clean up, the scale of pollution remains daunting. Next, we're venturing into West Virginia, a place where the mountains are high, the spirits are strong, and the environmental destruction is unfortunately even stronger. Now, we've already touched on the joys of mountaintop removal mining in Kentucky, but West Virginia, they've taken it to a whole new level. They're the reigning heavyweight champions of blowing up mountains for coal. And the environmental consequences, well, they're about as subtle as a punch in the gut. We're talking about polluted rivers, devastated ecosystems, and communities struggling with respiratory problems. West Virginia, you've got a lot to offer. Breathtaking scenery, a rich cultural heritage, and enough coal dust to make a baker jealous. Hold your breath, folks, because we're heading down south to Louisiana, where the food is spicy, the music is soulful, and the air is thick with enough toxic chemicals to make your head spin. This is a place where the beauty of the bayous meets the harsh reality of industrial pollution. Now, we all know Louisiana for its vibrant culture and unique charm. The streets of New Orleans are always alive with music, and the festivals are a feast for the senses. But what many people don't realize is that it's also home to a stretch of land along the Mississippi River known as Cancer Alley. This area has become infamous for its high concentration of petrochemical facilities. This 85-mile stretch is a hotbed of petrochemical plants churning out chemicals that are essential to modern life but come at a steep cost. And the residents? Well, they're breathing in a delightful cocktail of toxins on a daily basis. These communities are often the most vulnerable with limited resources to fight back. We're talking about cancer rates so high they make smoking look like a health fad. The statistics are alarming and the stories of affected families are heartbreaking. It's a grim reality that contrasts sharply with the state's lively image. The comparison to smoking is not an exaggeration, it's a stark warning. Louisiana, you're a state known for your joie de vivre, your delicious cuisine, and your incredible festivals that draw people from all over the world. But beneath the surface, there's a darker story of environmental neglect and public health crises. Your ability to turn a blind eye to these disasters is as legendary as your gumbo. Fasten your seatbelts, folks, because we're off to the heartland, to the great state of Indiana, a place known for cornfields basketball and, you guessed it, some of the worst air quality in the nation. You see, Indiana likes to brand itself as the Crossroads of America. And they're not wrong. It's a major hub for transportation and industry. Of course, being a transportation hub is great if you love the sweet smell of diesel fumes in the morning. We're talking about a state where the factories churn out pollution with the same efficiency that their farms produce corn. Indiana, you're a state with a rich history, a passion for basketball, and an air quality index that would make a canary faint. Chapter 7. Ohio. From the Great Lakes to the Great Oops-We-Polluted-It. Hold on to your swim trunks, everyone, because we're diving into the murky depths of Ohio's environmental woes. Now, Ohio likes to boast about its access to Lake Erie, one of the Great Lakes. And it is indeed a great lake. If you like your lakes with a side of industrial runoff and algae blooms that look like something out of a science fiction horror movie. Agricultural runoff, industrial waste, sewage overflows, you name it, Lake Erie has been blessed with it. Ohio, you're a state with friendly people, delicious Buckeye candies, and a lake that's one step away from becoming a giant petri dish. Chapter 8. Alabama's Sweet Home. With a side of deforestation. You all ready for this? We're heading down south to Alabama, a state known for its southern hospitality, sweet tea, and, unfortunately, a deforestation problem that's more bitter than a pecan pie gone wrong. You see, Alabama was once covered in vast, beautiful forests, but somewhere along the way, they seem to have mistaken roll tide for roll trees because they've been chopping down their forests at an alarming rate. Deforestation leads to habitat loss, soil erosion, and a whole host of other environmental problems. Alabama, you're a state with a rich history, charming accents, and a deforestation problem that's about as subtle as a chainsaw in a library. Chapter 9. Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas, including the environmental problems. Howdy, partners. We're fixing to head down to the Lone Star State, where everything's bigger, including, unfortunately, the environmental problems. Now, Texas loves to brag about its oil and gas industry, but what they don't like to talk about is the environmental impact of all that drilling and fracking. We're talking about air pollution, water contamination, and enough methane leaks to make a cow blush, and those things are notorious for their methane emissions. Texas, you're a state with a lot to offer, BBQ, cowboy boots, and enough oil and gas to fuel a small country. Chapter 10. Pennsylvania. From the coal mines to fracking fields, a legacy of pollution. Hold on to your hard hats, everyone, because we're heading to the Keystone State, Pennsylvania, a place built on coal, steel, and, unfortunately, a legacy of environmental pollution that's harder to shake than a bad case of the Mondays. This state has been the backbone of America's industrial revolution, but it has paid a hefty price for its contributions. The scars of its industrial past are still visible today, etched into the landscape and the lives of its residents. Pennsylvania's love affair with coal is a tale as old as time. For generations, coal mining was the lifeblood of many communities, providing jobs and fueling the economy. The The coal mines were bustling hubs of activity, with miners working tirelessly to extract the black gold that powered the nation. But like all good things, it eventually came to an end, or at least it should have. The decline of coal left behind ghost towns and abandoned mines, relics of a bygone era. The environmental impact was devastating, with polluted waterways and scarred landscapes serving as a grim reminder of the past. Instead, they decided to jump out of the frying pan and into the fire by embracing fracking with the same enthusiasm they once reserved for coal mining. Fracking promised a new era of energy production, but it came with its own set of environmental challenges. The process has been linked to water contamination, air pollution, and even earthquakes, raising concerns among residents and environmentalists alike. Pennsylvania, you're a state with a rich history, delicious cheesesteaks, and an environmental track record that's about as appealing as a plate of cold grits. The legacy of pollution continues to haunt the state, but there is hope. Efforts are being made to clean up the mess and transition to more sustainable energy sources. The road ahead is long and challenging, but with determination and innovation, Pennsylvania can pave the way for a cleaner, greener future. Outro: the future is not disposable. Time to clean up our act. So, there you have it, folks. A whirlwind tour of America's trash states. We've seen the polluted rivers, the deforestation, the mountains turned into molehills, and the air that could make a grown man weep. But here's the thing. Despair is not an option. We need stronger environmental policies, stricter regulations, and a whole lot more public awareness, because the future isn't disposable, and neither is our planet.